All right, let's call to order the special council meeting here Monday, December 12th, 6:45 PM. We are at the WC O'Neill Arena Complex at the council chambers. This will also be airing on Zoom and Facebook. And if anyone has any questions on anything on the agenda this evening, you can do so by contacting PNOPR at townofstanders.ca. Once again, all members of the council are in attendance, so thank you once again. I think this is I know we have a swearing in ceremony. This is our last meeting technically of the year. So thank you everyone for being here. And I wanted to recognize that we are in the unceded traditional territory of the Beskoto Magadi people. I'll be looking for a mover to help approve the agenda for this evening. I've got Councillor Heenan. I'm trying to look to my right, but I saw Councillor Hurdle first. So any changes to this agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving this agenda, please signify by saying aye. That's everybody. This agenda has been approved. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Seeing none. Myself, though, I will be declaring one for the closed session item under, I think it is 68(1)(c). So I'll recuse myself at that point. I just ask that council makes that the last item of the closed session so I can maybe get to my car a little earlier tonight, and I'll be thinking of you as I drive home. So there's no other, there's no presentation. So we are going to get right into the introduction, consideration of passing a bylaw. So at this point, I think we're going to go over to Councillor or Deputy Mayor Akaji rather.
Thank you, Your Worship. FA 221115. And it's the bylaw number 22-07, a bylaw relating to the Town of St. Andrews Council remuneration, second and third reading. As part of the local governance reform, the province has set the rates for council remuneration for the new municipal entities that had full general elections. For those municipalities that had by-elections, as they still have working councils, it is the responsibility of those councils to adjust their own council remunerations. Most municipalities have had their council remuneration updated to reflect the increased responsibility and commitment. A new formula for the updating compensations for councillors was put out by the Association of Francophone Municipalities of New Brunswick, AFMNB, for use by councils to identify their remuneration. The Town of St. Andrews has used the AFMNB formula for calculating remuneration, and it is recommended that the council remuneration bylaw be updated to reflect the important role served by mayor and council. Chris Spear, CAO Treasurer, provided a presentation on council remuneration and the formula used to determine the ranges. So the first reading was on November 21st, 2022, sorry. And public hearing of objections was tonight, December 12th, 2022. So now we're having the second and third and final readings. Council can make changes to the bylaw prior to the third and final reading. So the action right now is a motion that council grants leave for the second reading of bylaw number 22-07, a bylaw relating to the Town of St. Andrews Council remuneration. And I so move this, Your Worship.
We have a seconder for that motion. Get it on the floor. Got Councillor Gumichelle. All right, so it's open for discussion. I guess just to kick off a comment I made earlier, I would propose that we lower my salary by 20% to $27,520. I know it would make me significantly under what other mayors are in Charlotte County, but I'm hoping that in response to that extra savings that has been budgeted for by the facilitator, that I don't think we have to necessarily bring it forward tonight, but maybe with that savings, the CAO and clerk could bring forward a look at the fire department's stipend, just because I do think it's very low. And I think it's an opportunity to, with the dollars, to maybe allocate it if council would entertain that. But over to you on your thoughts on that proposal, council. Councillor Heenan.
Your Worship, I think it's a very generous offer that you're making towards the fire department, and I think it shows your dedication to this community. I just still stand behind my comment that you work very, very hard for this community, and there's not anything that happens in the town that you're not at it, and I just feel that you're really underpaid, and I mean, I just feel that you're undercutting yourself, Your Worship. And I just think that the amount of work that you do in comparison to other communities, I mean, it's phenomenal. So if it's what you want, you can have it, but I'm just saying, I wanted you to know that I do think that council appreciates everything that you do. And so by saying that, if that's what you want, I support it. It's just my thoughts. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it, but just to respond to that, it is what I want. I think that when I did this, I didn't do it for the money, and I still don't, but in the same sense, I think getting paid less than counselors in neighboring communities for how much time a mayor puts in, I don't think that that is right either. So this is my way, and if I can use that to leverage a little pull for the fire department, then that's what I'm trying to do here. But again, we'll take those separately, and you can weigh in on that when the time comes based on the savings. Anyone else? Councilor Blanchard?
Only to say, I would agree with Councillor Heenan that, you know, to undercut and undervalue the work that the mayor, that you do and the council does, I don't think is necessarily right. I think we could deal with the issue of the stipend for the fire department separately. If it is lower than it should be, given the current conditions, I think that is a separate issue unto itself. And I don't necessarily think it needs to come out of the mayor's salary to do that. I think that's something we could look at separately. So that would be my comment. But again, whatever your wishes are, I would support that. But I think that can be an issue that can be dealt with separately.
Thanks so much. Deputy Mayor Akaji?
As you know, Mayor, I've been on council for a long time, and we voted not to accept a raise. We were in here to help the town, to be for the town. And I mean, all of our counselors, all of you, especially you are at everything. So it's wonderful to see, because our mayor is out and about, but our counselors are also out and about. I mean, this past, Santa's parade, we were out there, and I mean, this council is out and about, and people recognize us and see the volunteering that you do, or the work that you do. You do much more than probably the rest of us, but still the support is there with this council, and I certainly appreciate it. And for the last few councils that we've been on, we have refused a raise. So I don't think this one-time raise for the next council that's coming in. I think we have new councilors coming in. I think that's helpful. And I will go by the decision of the group, but I don't think, as Councillor Blanchard said, that you should give up your money for the fire stipend, that we can, as we say, we could find it someplace else. And they also deserve to be rewarded, because you're right. They risk their lives. They do so much for our community. It would be nice to reward them as well. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? I will need a mover to amend, but I guess worst case scenario, I can always make a donation back to the town of St. Andrews if that was my wish. But yeah, I would need a motion to amend. Councillor Neal.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add to the discussion so far, I guess, would be that, again, the way I kind of understood how we got into this was, again, we were trying to bring the town of St. Andrews Council and mayor, deputy mayor, onto the same level as basically the rest of the province using their formula. So again, while I understand what you're saying and completely respect the gesture, I do think we need to think of, again, future councils and mayors as well. And if this is the opportunity for us to do this, then I would suggest we do it and not leave the town in a situation where the mayor might have to do this again to get up to the sort of provincial standard. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Valid point. Okay. I think I'm getting some consensus here. Mr. Doffer.
Sorry, Your Worship. I just want to bring some clarification to a couple of the comments that were made during the public hearing of objections.
I'd appreciate that.
So first one is actually the Local Governance Act, section 96, where it talks about conflict of interest. This is not a conflict of interest, council. This is, councils have the right to set their remuneration at the level as they so choose. Now, understanding that 56 other entities in this province were set by the provincial government this year with local governance reform, those in the bylaw, or sorry, by-election situation, as they have an active council still working, the decision was put back to them to make and to put the choice on. CPI increases, just so council notes that most of the time council either takes a very minimal increase or doesn't take an increase at all. And that has been tradition of previous councils. councils, although it is written in the bylaw that you can. A lot of the time it's deferred or not,
This- This council deferred it,
Correct.
did not do it last time.
I would also like to reiterate that there was a section that was noted about babysitting services. So that was actually written into the bylaw by the last council. And it was actually a service that is open not just to children, but if there are elderly or people that are in need, that need an extra care service, that was made available to give a buffering for council. And it's really only a 3-hour limit on it at a $15 an hour type, or sorry, up to $75 for a session. So it's not dramatic within any scope of beyond supporting a counselor to be able to do what you guys do. So I just wanted to make sure that those points were reiterated to council.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Otherwise, there's no motion. I'll call, go ahead, Councillor Hurdle.
Thanks. I just wanted to circle back around on some comments that were made earlier, just around, and again, this is one of those impossible decisions for us to make. I think sometimes it's difficult whichever way you go, but what I keep coming back to is the sense of democracy around this and how democratic a choice like this actually is. We talk about, that there is a stipend in place, sure, but you have to be of a certain financial mobility to be able to exist on what we've historically been paid. And that reduces the subset of people that can participate in council and can participate in local governance to a very small set of people. And that's really unfortunate. And I don't think that really benefits a thriving community or benefits the health of a governments of a small community either. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to afford to be able to do this. So opening this up, bringing this forward so that the historical CPIs that we've turned down, at a certain point that has to get caught up so that it's fair to everyone who wants to participate in this. And that's why I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, then if there's no other motions, I guess, any other comments, I'll call the question then. All in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye. That is everybody that has been carried. Next motion.
Thank you, your worship and council. The second motion is that council grants leave for the third and final reading of bylaw number 22-07, a bylaw relating to the Town of St. Andrews Council remuneration. And I so move this, your worship.
Okay, a seconder for that motion. Got Councillor Heenan. Any discussion for third reading?
Your worship, there's two things, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
First, you forgot to read that last one, so,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but I guess the other thing, maybe I misunderstood because I was double checking something, but you had requested a reduction. I don't think there's ever a formal motion to make that.
There wasn't.
So you're not going to move forward.
I don't think I had the, I don't think I had the
Okay.
support for their, yeah, they're all shaking their head at me.
Okay, just want to formal.
Yeah, so do you want me to read it or, and then continue on? Okay.
Your worship, you just have to read it by title. You
Yep.
read it in full the last time.
Absolutely. It's bylaw number 22-07, a bylaw relating to the Town of Sarah's council remuneration. Number 1 is definitions, 2 is remuneration of council, 3 is repeal and effective date. It was read the first time, the 21st day of November 2022, and read the second time, the 12th day of December of 2022. So I have a mover and a seconder. Can I continue with that mover and seconder though? Okay, and any more discussion for third reading? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of going to third reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so I will once again read it. It is bylaw 22-07, a bylaw relating to the Town of St. Andrews Council remuneration. Number 3 is repealed effective date. It was read the first time, the 21st day of November of 2000, and read the third time on the 12th day of December of 2022. So that has been.
Just a couple more. Thank you, your worship. FA 221 is capital budget for 2023. Council was able to, in the background year capital plan for the Town of St. Andrews for both general capital and water and sewage funds, including sources of funding and projected debt levels. If council is satisfied with staff's recommendations, a motion to accept the budget to allow planning and design early in the new year would be appropriate. So the motion is this: that council moves to accept the 2023 to 2027 budgets for the general capital and water and sewage capital funds. And I so move this, your worship.
Thank you. A seconder for that one. Okay, we got Councillor Blanchard. Any discussion on this? Do you want to add any context to it, Mr. Spear, or do you feel?
Your worship, it might be appropriate because the public hasn't seen any of this to allow me to do a presentation on it. If
Fair enough.
council's willing
I
to.
think it'd be appropriate, and it's important to note again that normally this would be a lot longer process, but due to municipal reform. This has really been something that just recently, as in the last month, that you found out that we can actually pass. So that is why that's why it's being done this way.
Thank you, Worship. I've moved over here just because there's a big crink in my neck as I was trying to look at the presentation behind me, and I think I was giving the camera people fits, so it might be a little easier to do it this way. And so I am presenting the capital budgets for the review all the municipalities until December the 15th. But having said that, we have a good idea what our tax rate is. And our facilitator has made that known to us, so we could work off of that as we.
Thank you. Didn't expect that, but. Very kind.